In terms of Georgia's ability to be in the college football playoff, a lot of that hinges on beating Alabama there on Saturday. Let's talk more about how they get that done. Welcome in one of the great former Georgia Bulldogs, and always a guy that's a privilege when we're able to have him on our program there as well. It is David Pollack here on DawgNation Daily, presented by ESOG today. David, thanks for spending some time with us. It's good to have you on the show here today.
Great to be on, BA.
Well, let's start with this. You know, one of the things that we kind of lean on you for is your knowledge of the defensive side of the ball, and you've kind of given us caution before that when you lose 5 first-round picks off the 2021 team or a Jalen Carter off the 2022 team and a Nolan Smith, that eventually you kind of feel the effects of that a little bit. Is that what's going on right now? Like, why do you think Tech game on Saturday, other games this year, why do you think Georgia's had the issue with the running quarterbacks and the issue at times just sort of stopping the run in general? Is this about, honest to goodness, just talent attrition, or do you think there's kind of something else going on there?
It's weird feeling human again, huh?
Yeah.
Like we had a couple years of superhuman play from some absolute freak shows that were great players, but you can't find those every year. And here's the thing I'll say about the defense. First, you lose those guys. It's very hard now to plug in new guys who are younger, obviously up front, that can even remotely do some of the same things that those other guys could do. So it's a learning curve. On the edges, I think we're vastly different than we've been in the past. So it's a combination of attrition. It's a combination of some youth, but it's also we were so good for so long. The expectations raised, and now realistically, this is not a defense that's going to pitch shutouts. This is not a defense that's not going to give up points, and you're going to feel comfortable with every single situation. But the good news is you got an offense that's elite and really, really good, and they can score on anybody. So it's kind of rich people problems to have right now.
No, that's exactly the case. So when you look at Jaylen Milaro on Saturday, the conventional wisdom is, well, if Georgia's had these issues with other running quarterbacks, then Milaro, who's the best runner they faced thus far this season, and that's an even more significant challenge. Like, how much do you kind of buy into that, and how much, I guess, are you kind of settled in on the notion that on Saturday, Milro's going to get some at some times, and what does Georgia do to possibly limit him?
Well, Milro's definitely going to get some. But I think the quarterbacks that we struggle with the most are the quarterbacks with the ability to read things. And I say that, you look at this past weekend, right? Like, they had the ability to read, put the quarterback in the belly, make a read, make a secondary read, make a couple reads on a play. That's not what this offense is. Caleb King can do that at Georgia Tech. That's not what Milrow is. Milrow will do some of that. You've seen some of that triple option type of stuff, but it's not as diverse and it's not as detailed as Auburn's or as Georgia Tech's that we've seen, or even as Ole Miss. So, but here's the thing about Milrow. This offense, Milrow throws the deep ball as well as anybody in the country. Okay? You see the dynamic ability and the running ability of the athlete. He throws a phenomenal deep ball. That thing is on point. By the way, ask Auburn, right? Like, late in the game, great deep ball. He throws it awesome. So you have to take away the deep ball, the deep shots, because he's good at it. He's not good at the intermediate stuff. He's not great throwing in windows. So what is the priority? We got to prioritize making sure that he can't run the football. But with their drop back passing game, it's taking shots, so it's making you drop out. But then all of a sudden, now he can take off and run. So he gives you a little bit of everything. This offense gives you a little bit of everything. They don't major in what Tech does and what Auburn did to us to be very successful. So I think our plan can be a little bit better. But Jaylen Milaro is going to get his for sure.
You mentioned Georgia's offense a moment ago. What I've kind of said, David, is I believe this might be the most explosive offense of this kind of championship era for Georgia. No disrespect to Stetson Bennett or Todd Monken or guys who helped, achieve great things for Georgia the last couple of years. Something about this offense's ability to throw punches just feels a little bit different to me. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it's got serious pop. And listen, the possessions per game are down. But the effectiveness is not. And when you look at it, it's those deep over routes, those deep crossing routes that Carson Beck is so good at. And by the way, that ball gets there in a hurry, BA. Like, that thing, he snaps his wrist, and that thing is there 9,000. I mean, the dude can throw through a car wash and not get it wet. I mean, he's got a hose. So I think his arm strength allows you to stretch the middle of the field big time. Bowers is a piece that can work the middle of the field that requires extra attention. Ladd, he's got to get healthy expect to see him back this week. But this offense has definitely had great balance. The offensive line is shuffled around up front, but Dejon and Milton. By the way, Milton, kudos to that cat. Like he has been toting the rock, and he's really. I think the coolest thing about him is what he's understood is he's starting to understand. Make a cut and go. I don't need to dance. I don't need to stop my feet. I'm a big, strong sucker with long strides, and I'm going to get downhill. And since he's done that, he's become better. So a lot of weapons, a lot of different ways to beat you, a lot of things to make you think about. And Alabama will challenge them. But they got a lockdown corner with McKinstry out wide. They can rush the passer. This is a really, really good defense. It might be the best defense Georgia's faced all year long.
Yeah, I think you may be right about that. David, we remember you as a very intense player. You're one of those guys sort of play with your hair on fire or whatever, like the cliche that people want to use is. In a game like this, I mean, I feel like the intensity in terms of the buildup is sort of already off the chart. So, kind of put yourself in the position of a player maybe on either side Saturday of, is this one of those things where you want to kind of dial your intensity up to like 11 on a scale of 1 to 10, or because the intensity is already so high, are you feeling like you need to kind of dial it down and kind of find a way to be more calm in the midst of a potentially chaotic environment? From a mindset standpoint, what's the right way for a player to approach this?
Well, it depends who you are. That's one of the coolest things about being in locker rooms and seeing, man, everybody gets prepared for a game different. Some people want to crank up AC/DC as loud as you possibly can and go nuts. And then there's people like me that listen to Big Daddy Weave Christian music before I went out to calm myself because I knew I was about to throw a lot of energy all over the place. So I think you got to know yourself. But I think it's interesting dynamic this game because you've got the new king of college football, and a lot of people have talked about that. Georgia, two-time national champs, the standard now. They passed the old standard, which was Alabama. And so I think Alabama is going to be extremely motivated. One thing that's crazy, BA, is out of all the things in this game, I think Alabama's defense is better than Georgia's. I think Georgia's offense is better than Alabama's defense. Out of all the things in the game, the one thing that I can really say with confidence is Georgia's the best coached team. Georgia's a better coached team than Alabama is. And I say that because Georgia doesn't beat itself with turnovers and penalties consistently for the last couple of seasons. They find a way. It's the most unbelievable thing that you can be disciplined and you can be tough and you can be physical and have these 5-star kids with flash and all the stuff, but get them to all speak your language. And Kirby's done a great job of that. And that's crazy to say coming in this matchup a couple years ago, 5 years ago, that Nick Saban would be out-coached by anybody. But to me, Kirby's proven that his program and the way he runs it, they're the standard. And now Alabama gets to go, okay, just don't forget about us, homeboy.
So I'll finish with this. Last year, Nick Saban sitting right next to you on television when you kind of talked about the sea change that had taken place in the sport. That clip went incredibly viral. It's like the most talked about moment probably from the national championship game. Did you have an idea at the time that so many people were going to, I guess, make such a big deal about the fact that I believe you correctly noted that there had been an amazing shift in college football, and yet because of the poignance of the moment, Saban sitting right there next to you, people just really seem to talk about that. Were you aware at the time of how much people really were kind of bringing that up and the fact that even a year later, people still kind of talk about that?
No, man, I didn't have a clue. And it didn't hit me, by the way, that night because, me and Nick are on set, and we walk off set, go back to your rooms, you finished it all up. The next morning, I did Get Up, and I'm doing a Get Up hit with Greeny, and all of a sudden he plays the clip, and everybody's, laughing and going nuts. I'm like, oh, crap. This might be a bigger deal than I thought. I didn't even think about it. First of all, the game's over.
Right.
There's, we're at halftime. Des talked about Stetson, so he covered that. Now it's like the natural progression was Georgia's the best team in college football, and it's not even close when you win, back-to-back natties. So very, very interesting moment. It went viral. I picked up gazillions of followers just to lose them because they realized I'm not really that guy. I'm not going to be the guy to gaslight and blow people up. It was just an honest take and an honest moment. But no, I called Nick. I actually, texted Nick, and he doesn't text very much. So I set up a call the next night with him, and he was like, "No, I was not the least bit offended." So it wasn't a moment to try to offend Nick or make a big stand. It was just an honest opinion that Georgia's taking over that mantle. And listen, you're crazy if you don't think Nick and them are going to use that, right? That's going to be part of conversation going into this week of everybody talking about how Georgia's the standard and you're not.
Fascinating stuff, David. We certainly appreciate your time, and we love a lot of the things you're doing right now. You've obviously got a great podcast out there where you're kind of sharing some of the stories of your own faith and how that's influencing you as a father and as a coach and all the things you've got going on. And obviously, you're doing some great work with your foundation there as well. So for people who kind of want to know more about, some of the ways in which you're using your fame and some of the things you have going on right now, how can people kind of find you online and find some of the stuff you've got going on?
Well, we got the PollackFamilyFoundation.com, and we just did our Banquet of Blessings, which was one of the coolest things we've ever done.
Amazing.
I mean, we rented out the Classic Center for a night and brought in a bunch of the people in need in the community, and ended up close to 1,000 people. And we fed them all, we served them all their drink, we served them all their food. It had a swag bag full of a brand new coat, brand new gloves, brand new beanie, brand new scarf, brand new sleeping bag, all the wipes, toothbrush, all the things you possibly, could want, wool socks during this time of year. So we're just trying to find areas that we can make our community here better and plug in. So that's a lot of fun. And the Family Goals podcast is just for dads trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
Like mom's trying to figure this thing out because we ain't got to figure
That's
it out.
all of us,
bro.
by the way. You really, that's all of us, by the way.
Oh yeah, I mean, just trying to find ways to incorporate, our church and be godly men and try to be the best father and husband and follower of God that we can be. So we get to throw down with that stuff, man. It's been fun, but it's always fun talking some college football too, brother.
David, I really appreciate it. We love to have you on the program and hope you enjoy the game this weekend. We hope you get a chance to catch up with you very soon as well.
All right, thank you, brother.